Okay, where are we? Up and running, are we? 8 o'clock Sunday. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, hello. You can see where we are, continuing just where I left off yesterday. Not sure how long this is going to take or what today's stream will consist of. I've got to clear, the wide chiseling is done. I've got to clear all around the edges of all this. There's no way it's going to take the full stream time. So we'll see what I'll move on to next. We'll see. There's one more block still to come after this one. One thing's for sure, I won't be running late today because it's a very, very difficult schedule in the shop. We've got the 4 parties all full. It's totally sold out today. And we've got visitors. There's interesting visitors coming, both from Fukui Prefecture, somebody who's been making paper up there as a visitor for a few years. That's going to be a very interesting visit. And then, coincidentally, at the same time, on the same day here, we're getting a visit from the people who were contracted to supply our mulberry fiber. All at the same time, and I'm supposed to be doing a couple of print parties, so it's going to be kind of chaotic this afternoon. So. Doing by finger, looking for rough spots and cleaning them up. I think I could come out a bit more with the chisel, I think. Let's see. It's a bit too close there. Just a bit of clearing here. I could have come a bit closer yesterday when I was clearing this. Let's see. So how's the conversation over there? What's going on this morning? Who have we got? Good morning, gang. Whoa, what are you talking about here? Steak? Not part of my life so much these days, but whatever. Ah, Day-chan's print. Yeah. Confusing here. This is not the Day-chan we spoke to 2 days ago now. We have 2 days working here now. The Day-chan you spoke to here on the stream is the young lady helping us with the print parties and the shop work. She's not a printer. The Day-chan, whose new print just went up into our catalog, is the young girl from Hong Kong who's working here as a trainee printer. She's the one who did the original concept for the Hatsune Miku print, which we still have not been able to get into our catalog. And our partner Chon-san is carving for us. He's the one who's carved the most recent couple of Ukiyo Heroes prints. Confusing, I know. We can't actually introduce those people properly because of, visas and stuff. We'll talk about that later. Alright, mostly okay, I think. Let's pick up now where we left off yesterday, clearing these. I should be able to zoom in if I use this lens. To set my position. Then we can zoom in. Get some light. Good. Are we okay? That should do it. Somebody's asking about the chat logger here. No, as I mentioned in the email, I can't use the one. You recommended a specific piece of chat logging software for me, but it's not functional as computer. It requires what's called the Java runtime to work. And on this computer, if I try and use the Java runtime, it slows everything down hugely, and I do not want anything interfering with the speed of this machine. So I can't run that chat logger. I think it's called Chatty, the one you were recommending to me. But it's not compatible with my specific OS setup here. That Java runtime is a monstrous piece of software that does whatever. It eats huge resources. And everything in view here. It's difficult to know without looking up all the time where I am. Okay, that's the boats done. Now let's just work our way around the island. And of course we're going to follow with the grain. I don't know if I talked about this before. The wood grain is this way, of course. We've got this edge to peel off. You can see the line has already been cut, right? The line has been cut there. So I've got to peel this edge piece off. And there's sometimes two competing things going on here. We perhaps saw that a minute ago here. When we're using the chisels, we want to go so that the grain shoots away from the area we're keeping. Look, if I do this here now, I'm working up to the line, and my chisel fires away into open space, but also two, the wood. It doesn't chip into the place where we're going to keep. If I were doing this the other way around, I'm not, but if I were going to try doing this way, it doesn't make any sense, because as I try and do this, it's going to try and push into the wood we want to keep. So common sense says we have to do it this way. Now that's fine, but there's also another level of wood grain involved on this block. And is the grain going this way or this way? We found that just down here. I was trying to go out. What was I trying to do here? I was trying to go this way. You can see this little, I don't know if you can see that. See, there's a little bit of wood here that I would like to take away. But if I try and do this, I'm in trouble. That chisel is going down into the wood because the grain on this wood wants me to scoop this way and not that way. That's why all this stuff, look, this was done the wrong way here. You can see it pulling up and breaking. So the wood grain on this block goes this way. So no problem. This corner, let's just clean up that mess I made just a second. So this is okay here. And this corner is going to be okay. So I'm okay on the angle going here, and I'm okay on the vertical angle. But it means that when I come down to this corner here now, let's try some of it. The wood grain goes this way, but my angle goes this way. So this is the corner that might get a bit iffy. I'm going to have to keep it really shallow. Yeah, it's chipping the wrong way. And what I've done to help prepare it is I've taken away as much wood as possible so that I'm working out into the open air here. It's hard to describe in words. You either get it or you don't get it. But it's a three-dimensional thing. It's not a two-dimensional thing. People who are working in relief sculpture, carving objects out of wood in 3 dimensions, which I've never done, must be really, really hip to this, and they must be really frustrated sometimes because the curve they want to carve is not in the right direction of what the wood grain wants to run. And at least in my own small experience with this, what you've got to do is keep your chisels as sharp as possible and take off as small amount of wood as possible and keep a firm pressure down. I'm pushing down on the thing. So given those three things, we can get away with it even when you're working against the wood grain. It's hard to verbalize, to explain in words, and until you've just tried hacking some wood and you get a feel for it and you start splintering and chipping in the wrong direction, trying to figure out what's going on. That quadrant's done, that's done. Let's go around the top. I think I'm zooming in a bit too close. I can't keep it in the... Can't keep it in the field of view here easily. We're going against the grain here, against the grain this way, but we're going with the grain on the curve. So we're safe. We're not going to muck up the carved part, but it might get a bit messy as we cut down into the wood. So look, it splits away, it doesn't peel away. I try and minimize it by keeping a lot of pressure on the top of the chisel. Wandered again, have I? Where should I be? I don't know. Okay, the rest is inside here. Let's have a little. Someone's asking about what the color order that these blocks are going to be printed. This is it's really a special case. The way we normally print our blocks, the order we print our blocks, and what we do in the print party room are frequently completely different. So whatever I say for a print party setup is not something that would make sense for a normal printing setup. I mean, that block set that we have in the party room right now, which is a key block with 3 colors. In the party room, we're printing the key block last, and we would never, in our own work, never, ever, ever do that. The key block always, well, 99% of the time, the key block comes first. Because of its function, it's the key, it defines the registration for everything else. So we print the key with the paper at a certain level of moisture, and then we try and make sure the colors are fitting inside it. And we do that by keeping the moisture as consistent as we can. When you're printing, it's a cloudy day or a sunny day or a rainy day or a bright day, or you put too much moisture in the paper with one impression and don't put very much in with another impression, the paper wanders. The paper gets larger or smaller during our normal printing. And it's because we've done the key first and we're doing the colors later, we can see when misalignments happen. In the print party room, the people themselves have no way to measure these things, so it doesn't matter which order it goes. So we print the key block last there for a couple of reasons, so that it's a surprise when they see it, and also to avoid smearing. If you print the key block first in a good rich black and then move on to a colors, the key block gets murky, it transfers to the colors. Now this one we're doing now, this microwave, the small version of Hokusai's Great Wave, it's normally 8 blocks, 4 pieces of wood, 8 impressions usually. And the key would come first, meaning that the shape of the waves, the outlines, it's a dark blue, it's not a black, but the key would come first. But in our party room, I'm not quite sure. I think we're going to probably do it in the middle somewhere. We've got 5 blocks. We've got the key, 2 sky blocks, a blue block, and a boat-colored block. We're probably going to print the boat first, I'm thinking. Or maybe the light blue. The first 2 blocks will be the light blue and the boat colors. They won't make much sense at that point because there will be no key lines to support them. They'll just be color blocks. It's okay. In the print party room, people just do what they're told. Here we go. Let's get started. It doesn't matter. And then after the light blue wave color is in and the boat color is in, we'll probably at that point do the key block. And the picture will then be sort of actually almost essentially complete. It will have the shape of the waves, it'll have the blue wave backgrounds, it'll have the boat colors, and it'll have the sky color because that's printed together with the boat colors. So it actually would look like the Great Wave print right there after 3 blocks. And then we'll take our coffee break at that point in the print party. And then after the coffee break, we'll come back and the people will do the 2 gradations. One will be the block I'm working on right now, the light gray sky block. And they will then finish off with the dark black gradation behind the mountain, the one that sets off the whole print. So order of colors, it's all flexible. There's many, many factors go into it. And depending on the circumstances, the answer can change. You'll see, of course, once we're ready with this print up and running, we'll absolutely do some video about it. We'll at the very least, we'll video another print party watching some people do it. And we might make a specific video just about this one set of blocks. I'm not sure. We'll see. Bird sounds in a sock side. Are there birds out there today? I didn't notice anything. Usual crows? It's quiet right now. I don't know. It's Sunday morning here. So it's a fairly quiet morning in Tokyo, you know, because there's no commercial traffic on the roads and stuff. So the background hum of the city is quieter on Sundays than in other days. At least early in the morning. It gets busy during the day. Of course, there's people out and shopping and doing everything. But the background commuting hum is quite different on Sunday. The color overlap as far as the print order goes, again, there's no single clear answer. I know. In the most simple case, again, the print we're doing in our print party room, people who've done that, there's 3 color blocks. There's a simple red, a simple yellow, and a simple blue. And we print those together. At the moment, the order we're doing is red first, then blue, then yellow. And many, many people ask us during the party, they said, if we did it in a different order, how would the colors be different? because for example, so we start with red and we print a yellow. So there's a sort of some areas where those two colors combine that comes in a certain orange. So by printing red first and then yellow, we get a certain type of orange. If we printed the yellow first and then the red on top of it, how would the orange be different? And actually the answer, we've tried this in the print party room sometimes when we've had time at the break. This question has come up and I've gone through, and I've taken a sheet of paper and gone through the print party backwards. The current order is red, blue, yellow. And I'll pick up a sheet of paper and I'll go through the thing backwards. Yellow, blue, red. Then ask them the question, how are these going to be different? Hesitant pause, and then I open the two sheets of paper and show them, and they are actually indistinguishable. You can't tell which one is which, because in the particular case we've set up here, it doesn't make any difference. And the easiest way to describe it for people who don't know this is, if you're familiar with Photoshop, imagine two layers that you've prepared. A red, yellow, let's just say, a red, yellow, and a yellow layer. Red layer and a yellow layer. Now if they were opaque layers, you put the red first, then the yellow down on top, the whole thing's going to become yellow because it's opaque and you can't see the red anymore. In woodblock printmaking, we can't do opaque. They're all transparent colors and everything shows through. So in your Photoshop model, take the two layers and change them to, say, 50% opacity. So you've got a layer of red, 50% opacity, 50% transparency, whichever way you want to call it. And now with those two layers both at 50%, you could stack them one on top or the other on top, red on top of yellow or yellow on top of red, and the resulting combined area will be no difference because you've got your blank background, then 50% red and 50% yellow. And assuming you're using normal layering in Photoshop, not multiply layering or something strange, just normal layering, you're going to get a very, very, very close imitation of what happens during woodblock printmaking. At least of this type of woodblock printmaking. Our colors are not opaque, our colors are transparent. And if you use, say, 50% opacity, that's a variable number. What we're using in our party room with a fairly loose liquid pigment in the bowl, it comes out at something around 50. If we thickened and deepened and richened the pigment in the bowl with more powder pigment and less water, then that 50% opacity changes. It can be 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever. We'll never really get to 100. So order of printing, does it make any difference? It depends on the thickness and the density of the pigments you're using. If they're roughly equivalent, and if you're working with a generally transparent kind of pigment, then sometimes it doesn't matter at all which one comes first. Now we're nearly finished this block. This is the last corner, I think. Everything else is done. So when I'm finished here, what work should I move on to? What time is it? 8:38. We've got lots of time left in the stream. So let's see, what should I do? Anyway, let me get finished first and then decide what to do here. Actually, I shouldn't even be hesitating. I know what the work is. It's decided. Today is Sunday. Our Ome workshop needs some prints that were just recently finished here, so I have to do some embossing actually. Today we received a package of prints here from Kubota-san, 2 packages over the last week. He's been really, really busy for us. And our Ome workshop wants to ship those prints real quickly. Jed's waiting for a bunch of them. He's got orders, so I've got to do that this morning so that we can ship it to Jed. So after I finish this in the next few minutes, it will be we'll have to be doing some embossing. And of carvers' printers' names going on the print. No doubt about it. In fact, I should have done that first because that's got to be finished this morning. Print party situation is crazy today. That's another fun thing about living in Japan, you know. I've got to ship some stuff to our Ome workshop, and today is Sunday. And if I had been living in some other country where I've previously lived, it was not possible. You have to wait till Monday, then you can give stuff to a shipping company. So your recipient will get it sometime later. I know they need it Monday, so I can ship it Sunday. The transfer companies here, the Takubin company and the transfer companies, they work 7 days a week. They don't care what day it is. So if I need something arriving Monday, I can ship it Sunday. I don't have to think about it a week in advance. It's one of the really wonderful things about living in this country. We pay for it. Those shipping things are not totally cheap. It's not a bargain money-wise, but it's certainly a bargain service-wise. We're happy to pay the price. And nothing ever gets damaged, nothing ever gets lost, nothing ever gets broken. It's one of the real glories of this country, the shipping infrastructure. There's a price for it. The guys who work for those companies work like dogs. They get paid very, very well, actually. Okay, I think we're done here. Let's zoom out. Okay, there we are. One of the color blocks for the microwave print. To run back, here's the key block. I should get rid of this, I think, at the moment here. There's the key block with its massive wide registration marks ready for the beginners to use. There's the sky block that I've just finished. It's going to be used to print gray tone on part of the boats, and we'll be using a large brush. I don't have a big brush in my hand here. Imagine this is a brush. We're going to be using a large brush with pigment at the bottom so it'll get the boats, and then a gradation. So gray pigment will bit by bit get lighter and lighter. And people will do their printing sideways, 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 sideways like this. And what else is finished? There's another block. This will be the block that does the boat color and the sky color. And it'll be done with maybe a light peach color, a light woody color. Maybe something actually like what you see on the wood itself. And then there is the block that will print the lighter blue tones. The key block you saw will print dark blue. This will be the block that will print the lighter blue to give wave effects and stuff like that. So 4 of the blocks are now done. 1 more left. And the one that's left will look similar to this one. It will have nothing down here where the boats are, and nothing where the men's clothing is. It will have just the sky area, just like this, and that's the block that will be printed with the black gradation behind the mountain. That's still to come. Okay, all of this really would have just been a couple of days' work. You know, it's taken me weeks and weeks and weeks to get done here, and that's embarrassing. You know, Dave is such a slow carver. I'm not such a slow carver. I'm actually a fast, efficient carver. Question is hours spent at the bench. What do they call it? Sitztime? I know this is a German expression for it. I forget what it is. I know time with bum in chair. I forget what it is. I know. Whatever job you're trying to do, write a book or make a woodblock print or write a computer program, it all depends on how much time you spend with your bum in the chair. Okay, now what do we got to do? I said I've got to do some embossing on prints. They're here. They've been sitting by my side here. Where are they? Here they are. Jed is waiting for these. Ome is waiting for these. People out in the world are waiting for these. I've got to get them shipped. I haven't even opened the package yet. You've seen these before. This is not a new publication. This is a reprint. This is no big surprise. You've seen these prints before. This is the second batch we've made. The first batch came back a month or so ago, and they went out to the Kickstarter backers. Kickstarter backers are all fulfilled. These prints are now for regular purchasers on the website. This is where we get him from Kubota-san. He's just such a control freak, you know, absolutely control freak. It's kind of like show and tell, isn't it? You've seen this print before. That's the back side in case you weren't sure. What has he done here? Let me just check and see. They're upside down. Here we are. My God, this is so nice. It's just so cool having these people work for me. You know, I didn't carve this. This was carved by Kawasaki-san, our young carver down in Kobe. It took her months of extra time. She's doing our subscription prints. That's her deadline work every month. And then grabbing time between those, she works on Ukiyo Heroes prints. At the moment, she's doing the one Jed calls, I forget what he calls it, Two Souls Entwined. It's the last print from the Kickstarter campaign. But before that, she did this one. It's the one we call The Serpent Strikes. We all know what game it's from. So it was printed, carved by Kawasaki-san. And this is printed for us by Kubota-san. He's a retired printer. He worked for Adachi for many years, and now he's come back to work for us. He works in his own home. He won't come here to work. And he is just so good at this, so good at this, so good at this. These are masterpieces. Oh my God! You're not supposed to talk about your own work, you know, but just the gradations and the way. Look at this. The gradation on this building that goes from nothing up to a depth under the eaves. The other gradation that cuts in on top of it, on part of it, but not other part. The building in the background. Look at this. And the cone of light. You know, we've got a gradation coming this way and a gradation coming that way, overlapping on this light cone. You know. And then, you know, what I can see but you can't see is this. There's 80s in here. And I tell you, this guy is consistent beyond any belief. Wherever we cut this stack, doesn't make any difference. They're all going to be exactly the same. This is our pride. Absolutely, this is our pride. Look at this. These gradations, they're put on just with a brush on a piece of wood. And they all line up exactly the same. People sometimes ask us, if we want these all the same, why don't we just use a printing press, you know, whatever. It's just not the same thing at all. People in our print party, they make two prints and one will be dark and one will be light, and they can say, well, that's because it's handmade. And we say, no, that's because you don't know what you're doing. They look a bit flat here because I've got flat lights, and I maybe put that light back on, it's going to screw things up, I don't know. They have real depth, you know, they have real depth here. Anyway, what I've got to do, I've got to get to work here. I need now to put the name on. And I've got an embossing board here somewhere. I haven't lost it. There's nothing like preparing carefully for the stream here today. Here it is. I've got the right one. Here it is. Carver Kawasaki printed Kubota. I've got to get the right pair. We've got embossing blocks made for all of our possible combinations here. Don't make a mistake, Dave. Kawasaki Kubota, right? Kawasaki Kubota. Don't screw this up. Need my moisture pad here. So I zoom out a bit. Do you see what's going on? Whoops. Oh, a baron. I forgot. Little detail. Excuse me. I gotta go run to the other room and get a batter. Yo-sho. Climb out of my bench here. It's like getting into a jet cockpit. Shoot. There's an email from Ishikawa-san, who's going to be arriving here this morning. Did you remember to take my paper out of the fridge? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay, I need an in tray, an out tray. I need my close-up glasses. Check again. Carver Kawasaki printer Kubota. You're laughing, but my God. Let's see where we are here. Measure twice, cut once, right? And there we go. And can I get it? I don't know if you can see it or not. We try every time. I struggle and fail to show you this. You can sort of see it there, I think. It's here. It's carving Kawasaki, printing Kubota Kenchi. Sorry not to be able to be more visible now. Okay, I got a roll here. I shouldn't be doing this job myself, you know. Kubota-san should be doing it, but we've talked about this before. He just doesn't want his name on these things. He said, I don't care, I'm just a craftsman. You know, craftsmen's names don't belong on these things. And we're like, yeah, that was 1877, not now. So we have to do it ourselves. All the other workers, on Asuga-san upstairs, she puts her own name on. But the Kubota-san just won't do it, so we have to do it. He doesn't mind if we put it on. It's sort of a little bit hypocritical, you know, whatever. There was a time a few years back, 3 years ago or so, the first prints he made for us, we couldn't put his name on. Because at that time he was still working for the other company he was working for. He was moonlighting. And if they had found out, he'd have been in trouble. So we've got a bunch of these Heroes prints that went out about 2 years ago with no name on. And if you've got a Heroes print with no name on, it means it was printed by Kubota-san during the time when he was moonlighting for us. So, but as soon as he finished with the other company, bang, that's it. On goes the name. Yeah, the everyday question, did you remember to take my paper out of the fridge? Today I did. It's not the fridge, it's the freezer. The paper is frozen overnight, frozen solid like a brick. Someone's asking about limited edition. No, we don't do limited editions at all. We just keep printing. We make them and sell them and make them and sell them and make them and sell them. There are no limited editions here. Jed numbers these. After we finish making these here, they're going to be shipped to Jed. He signs each one. He seals it with his seal, and he puts a number on. He likes to keep sequential numbers showing how many of each one he's sold. So this is not a limited edition. It's just a sequential numbering. He starts with number 1 for each print, and then goes up and up and up and up and up. We don't do limited editions, period. Here at Moko Hong Kong, the only prints we've ever numbered ourselves are when we did the Great Wave for our own Kickstarter when we opened the shop 4 years ago. We numbered those in the order that people joined the Kickstarter campaign. We kept number 1. So the first person that joined the Kickstarter campaign got Great Wave number 2, number 3, and number 4. But again, it's an open-ended thing. It's not a limited run. There was only X numbers. How much one of these cost with and without the signature? They don't go without the signature. Jed is the person who sells these. I'm just the factory who makes them. These are all sold exclusively through Jed. They're going to be shipped to Jed. He's going to put them on his website, which is ukiyo-e-heroes, one word, ukiyo-e-heroes.com. And he signs the prints before he sells them. He's only got one price. Non-Heroes prints, this would be the last step. Yeah, with the non-Heroes prints, after the printer gives them to me, bang, we sell them. We package them and sell them. Our non-Heroes prints, they don't get signed, they don't get sealed, they're not modern artworks in any sense. I've got a batch waiting right now. Dei-chan, the young girl Dei-chan upstairs. You saw her doing some Patreon chibis last week. Oh, here we are. There's her Patreon chibis. She's given me another package. She left it on my desk last night. I haven't opened it yet. I know what's inside it. In fact, maybe I'm supposed to show you, not supposed to show you. Sure, let's have a look at it. She asked if she was allowed to do a test run of the owls. And she did do, and from what I saw upstairs while she was working on them, they look pretty nice indeed. This is young Dei-chan, the young girl who's working here as a Hong Kong trainee, and she has done what looks to me like a very, very, very nice job on these. So we are back in stock now. Ishikawa-san did a small group of these the other day, and now Dei-chan has done a larger group of them. And we are finally, after months of delay, we are back in business with our Mimizuku print, our owl print. So anyway, like I said, there's no embossing for these. They're too small. We can't muck around with putting carvers and printers' names on them. So normal prints for us. Once they're cleared, the printers bring them to my desk. That's the first step. I see every print. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Once I've cleared it, it goes to our packaging in Ome. They package it and out they go. I'm really happy. She's coming along very well. Ah, the reset. Soka, I forgot about that. Ha ha ha. Is that good news or bad news? I'm not really quite sure. Are you trying to get that number as high as possible, or are you trying to keep it low? I forgot about that. Soka. Whatever. I can't worry about stuff like that. I'm sorry. Soka. Soka. Yes, yes, yes. If somebody sends me those unembossed prints, I was really not happy with that. I did not want to do that. I resisted the unembossed prints. And I really, really did not want to do that. I want all of our prints. You know, you've got prints out there now with no embossing, and people are going to think maybe that's not from Dave's workshop. It's a forgery or something. I did not want to do that. But the guy just said, look, if Adachi sees this, my neck is done. I'm hung. I'm fired. So I really couldn't do it. I couldn't take the risk of doing that. I mean, the guy is begging me not to put his name on the prints. I had no choice. But now that risk is history. It's finished. But we've got a few hundred prints out there with no embossing. I am really, really, really not happy about it. And yeah, if you've got one and you're around here sometime and you bring it with you, absolutely I'll do this. I mean, I know what they are. Where, you know, I don't know where they are because I don't know who bought them, but I know which prints were involved. Another batch of prints. I'm not sure where they got to. Excuse me a second here. So what are you doing here? Hi, 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 hi. Trying to watch what's going on here. What's the question here? Paper turning yellow. I'm not sure what you're saying. Our paper is, it's quote white unquote, but it's a little bit of a natural tint. Well, if you sent an image here, place where the embossing is turning yellow. I'm not sure what you're seeing. And this is, I think, the camera. There's no yellow involved here. This is embossing that I would have done myself right here a few days ago, or a few weeks ago, whatever. There shouldn't be any change in the paper. The embossing I'm doing right here. Whatever, if you can send me a better photograph or something later, this is a pretty fuzzy thing. If you can photograph it or scan it, there shouldn't be any difference there. So many questions, so many questions. Someone's asking about the waiting list. We still have a waiting list for the waves, so that we're getting through it quite quickly recently. There's still a couple of hundred people still on the list. If you put your name in now, it's still going to be a while before they're ready. I'm sorry. We can't just create more and more and more all that quickly. Chat images. Let's try and see what's happening here. Copy link address. Well, that's a number. This last thing, that's one of the Kickstarter prints. It's got that number in the bottom there. Number 49. So you must have been on the first few days of the campaign then, I guess. People like these numbers, don't they? Yeah, the center chrysanthemums. My God, people still want that one so much. That was in the TV program last week, and now we get a flood of requests. Can I buy it? Can I buy it? Can I buy it? It's kind of frustrating, you know. We get so many people wanting to throw money at us and wanting these products, and we just can't. We can't supply. It's talk about frustration, you know. I just can't turn on a tap. No idea when that print is going to be back in stock. Center chrysanthemums. No idea. If you're asking for the waiting list, it's no good writing to me. I don't control that. Write to Cameron. Write to info@mokuhankan.com. That goes to Cameron, and he can talk to you. But he won't be able to help you. You know, the waiting list is what it is. People's names go on the bottom, and when we have a batch of prints, we start notifying people at the top. And not everybody on the list buys a print. Sometimes they just don't reply to that notification, or they'll say, thank you, but no, my circumstances have changed. I really don't want it after all. So the waiting list is not as long as it seems to be, because each time there's a new batch of prints, it doesn't just chop 50 people off. It might chop off 60 or 70 or 80. I don't know what the ratio is. You have to ask Cameron. So, there's your email. Write to that. Just ask Cameron. Yeah, the mailing list does work. It's a real thing. We are making the prints batch by batch by batch. So far this year, Yamamoto-san, he's done 4 batches this year in 2018. He did a batch in January, and then for the next 2 months there was a gap, February and March. He's busy with other work, and then in April there was another batch, and in May, 3rd batch, and now I've got the 4th batch. It's right here. In fact, that's what has to be shipped to Ome tonight. There's a batch now of about 40. There's a batch now of about 45 Great Wave prints. They will be shipped to Ome today. We got 60 sheets of paper went to the printer, and only about 45 came back this time. He's doing really well. It's nothing to do with the printer himself. 2 of them were rejected because of the printer. They were his warm-up test sheets. So there should have been maybe 58. But more than a dozen sheets, more than a dozen, were spoiled by paper problems. Too much bark. I tried to do surgery on them with my scope here. There's too much bark, and I couldn't get it out without destroying the surface of the paper. So we've got over a dozen sheets here that are destroyed. Not destroyed, but they're unable to be shipped because they're just not good enough. That's par for the course in these days, you know. We would normally expect about 10% spoilage. This time we ended up about 15%. And this batch of prints now, they came through the other day, so I notified Cameron, and he has already been notifying people on the mailing list. So the past few days, he's been sending out emails batch by batch. And this is now July 10th, so the next batch will be ready about July. It's June 10th now. Next batch will be ready in about a month from now. Another 50 copies. The spoiled ones just go into the files here. I have a file now of hundreds of rejected copies of the Great Wave print. Literally hundreds rejected copies. Almost all because of paper problems. It's not just that print. We have a filing system here with the rejected copies of everything. This batch of prints right here, down at the bottom, Kubota-san, I think, has marked a couple. Oh no, he hasn't. He's kept them himself, and I guess. So sometimes when we get prints from him, the last few copies, he's marked the corner cut off because they're not acceptable. But this batch is cool. It's not the first time he's done this for us. And there will be defects in the paper in this print too, but because of the structure of the image, we're okay with it. Imagine there's a tiny dot of chili, the bark of the paper. If it was in this white area, we could see it. If that little bark of paper was buried down here in the middle of the barrel or something, we wouldn't even be able to find it because your eye can't catch it. There's probably some somewhere. But they don't destroy the print. Here, there's one here. This one. There's no way we can zoom in for this. There's a small black dot here, and it's a piece of bark fiber buried in the paper. Now on this print, there's no way anybody is ever going to see that or notice it or find it because it's blended in with the design. But on the Great Wave, what happens, you get those bark scraps, and they come up right bang there. When there's a bark scrap here, nobody cares. But when there's a bark scrap in the middle of this thing or one of the white areas, nobody wants that print. We've had them rejected. Dave, I'm sorry, there's a defect with my print. Can I exchange it? So we've learned. People are really, really strict, as they should be. So we've learned. Bark scraps are death on a print like that. And the Great Wave is so white, so much open space, we get killed by that. Now, there is a way around it on some of those prints. If that bark scrap happens to be in a totally white area, what's this? Oh, yeah, it must be Kawai-san. Then I can do surgery. If I had time for it, I can take a Great Wave print, whatever, that's got a bark scrap in a white area. I can get it under the microscope, get a scalpel, literally do surgery. Slice out a piece of paper, feathered at the edges, take it away, the bark scrap. And from another print that's unused, cut the same kind of piece and glue it in. We could do surgery, but you're looking at a half an hour to an hour's work. I just can't spend that kind of time on it. So we're nearly the end of our stream here today. It's 9:20 now. I've got about 10 sheets left. I'll finish this off. Where are we? Today's Sunday. We have one more stream left this week. Guys, good morning. Come say hello. It's been a quiet stream here today. For me, I don't know, there's lots. These guys are making lots of noise. Kubota-san, yeah, look at it, look at it, look at it. It's so cool, just perfect. Just perfect. もう後ろから見ると。So, doesn't get any better than this, you know. Wonderful.
久保田さんって楽々やってんだろ
そう
うね。そうやっぱり僕ヒーヒー言ってんのと若手の相手はね、
申し訳ない。
ギリギリの戦いしてんのと、そうテレビに出られてくれ楽々やって
経験ですね。
経験ですよ。売り上げ結構好調です
もうノンストップ。
キックスタート。
いや、
キックスタートが結構大きいんですか。
去年のキックスタート from last September。このものはキックスタート頼んだ人たちはもう送ったんですか。普通の。
そうだったのオンライン。
そう。
コレクターの人もいますよね。熱いコレクターの人は全部集めたいなとか。
So as I said, what's happening now? Today's Sunday morning. There will be a stream Monday morning tomorrow. I'm not sure what it will be. It could be the final block. It could be work on the final block on the microwave print. It could be that. But what it might be is printing work on the share certificates. The blocks are now ready. Dei-chan did some test printing for me on that yesterday. And the prints she made are not good enough to send out, but it looks like she's done the prep work for me now. It's all ready to go. So I think I'll be doing some share certificate printing. So it's possible that'll be happening tomorrow morning, I'm not sure. Then Tuesday, Japan time, Tuesday of course will be off, and I'll be almost certainly downstairs working in the shop. I either have to work on the counter, the register counter, or perhaps the coffee corner for the party room. I'm not sure which I'll be doing. So there'll be no stream here Tuesday morning Japan time, of course, as always. Right, there we have it. That's today's embossing work done. This batch of prints is now going to go into the stock room, and they get sent to Jed in batches. He will order a batch from us, send me 15 more, over they go. He signs them and seals them and sells them on his internet website. And then we ourselves, we will send him a batch, maybe 15 more. We pay him a royalty fee, he signs them, seals them, and they come back for sale in our shop here in Asakusa. Somebody says, happy birthday, Elizabeth I. I don't think it's Elizabeth I. I think her birthday is not today. I think this is the second Elizabeth. Alright, there we go. I got to get out of here now. I have an insanely difficult day coming up today. 4 fully booked out print parties, a guest paper maker from Echizen, and a guest kozo supplier from Niigata Prefecture. It's going to be one very, very, very busy day. Okay guys, thanks very much. Bye bye. See you tomorrow morning, same time, same station, doing something or other. Thanks very much again. That's such nice video quality. Look at this. Away we go. Okay, thanks again guys. Hi, see you tomorrow.